My buddy, I have a video on our Instagram of him standing in the Shadow Man's door, and his testicles get crushed.
What?
Yeah, no, literally, like he literally grabs his johns and falls, like he hunches over and he like limps to the door, and he's like in excruciating pain, and he like falls down on the floor, and he's like, "Dude, something just crushed my balls." True story. Welcome back, everybody, to the Dead Shell Talk, our reboot of our original podcast series with some better gear, some better equipment, and a better studio. I'm Dylan. This is
Brian.
And today we are bringing you a very special episode with a very infamous person from the haunted Hill House of Mineral Wells, Texas. So sitting with us today is Ryan McHugh. He is the head paranormal investigator and tour guide at the Haunted Hill House, as well as the bassist for the new metal band I Hate. What's up, buddy?
So, man, how y'all doing?
Pretty good, man. How you been?
Another day, man.
Right on. So I guess we'll just jump right into it, man. Like, give me a little background on the Hill House, how you came about to finding the Hill House, how long you've been going there, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so June will be 6 years since I moved back to Texas. Before that, I was living in Panama City Beach, Florida. And that November 10th of 2017, Hurricane Michael hit. And I was supposed to come home to visit my parents and go to a Dead South concert, but it was days after the hurricane. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not. Well, I ended up making it home to down here to come visit my parents and go to the show. And when I first came down, they were showing me Mineral Wells, and they were like, "Yeah, have you heard of Haunted Hill House?" I'm like, "No." And then they pulled some things up on YouTube about the house, and I was like, "All right." They're like, "Well," I'm like, "Well, let's go see this place." And I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "That place looks creepy." Yeah, I want to stay there one day. I'm going to stay there. So that was the first time seeing it. About a year goes by. No, the first time I seen it was about a year prior. So after the hurricane, I ended up moving back in June, and that's when I met Kathy and Sonny. Was that June? And I went to the house, and the first thing that had to happen to me there was Kathy took me into the scratcher room, and she's like, "Here, sit down." And keep in mind, back then, the house didn't look like it does now.
Yeah.
They were still fixing it up. So it was like extra, it was more creepy.
Raw.
So I sit down at the table with my back to the passage room, and Kathy's like, "All right, have fun," closes the door and walks out, and I'm like, "All right." So I sat there, and probably about a good 10 minutes went by, and I'm like, "This is bullshit, nothing here." And then all of a sudden I felt something jab me in my back, like in between my shoulder blades. Like I thought someone snuck in behind me. And I turned and no one was in the room. All the doors were closed. I'm like, I know what I just felt. And then I walked out of the room and Kathy's like, "What happened?" I'm like, I felt something poke me in my back, like in between my shoulder blades, like trying to get my attention. And I was like, "Oh, I've never had that happen." So then Sonny took me upstairs, and that was the first time I heard a disembodied voice walking out of Joshua's room to tell me to leave.
Same day.
Same day. So like maybe like 10 minutes after the poke, right? So when I went home, it took me a couple days to wrap my mind around like what happened to process it. And then they're like, "Hey, I'm going to go back to Hill House. You want to go?" Yes, I want to go because I have to figure out what's going to happen now. And that was my first experience. The first time I saw the house, I was like, "I'm going to stay there by myself." 2 years later to the day I did my Lone Wolf.
Oh yeah. And that second day that you went back was the day that I met you, right? When you were wearing the Cowboys jersey when I was
Yeah.
upstairs?
Yep.
I still remember
Yep.
it, dude.
That was the first time I met you.
God, what was that? 2018?
18.
Yeah, God bless. But yeah,
Time's
Wow.
flying, man.
Man, it's crazy. It's been that long.
yeah, it's been a long time. So, I mean, that's a perfect segue like into talking about well, actually, let's touch on like your role like in the community like of Hill House. Like you want to touch on that? Like what do you do? Like what do you do for people? What do you do for events? Like
Well, basically, I guess I'm their lead investigator. So anytime they need someone there, they call me. Besides them, I'm the only other person with keys. And since I live right down the road, like people like they really used to let me go live on Facebook and all that. And people are like, oh, we like Ryan. Like he gets in, he gets activity.
Yeah.
We want him to come out. And then they're like, well, it's going to cost you. And they're like, we don't care. So if I don't stay the night with them, I'll go and set the house, turn the house on, set it up, amp the house up, give a tour of the house and the brief history and the rundown and whatnot. And I'll stay in on property of the camper in case people get freaked out and leave, which happens like often.
So what
And
do
then
you?
I'm like, cool, I just stay in the house and watch TV.
I think that's interesting. I mean, I don't want to go off on a segue here, but you're kind of known as this guy who, if he attends, all of a sudden you're going to have a rock star night, and that's really interesting.
Basically,
Like, why do you think that is personally?
I think considering how long I've been going there now, that the house has gotten to know me. And like I've said before, and I will say it till the day I die, till I'm blue in the face, that house is not haunted. That house is alive.
Hmm.
And y'all been there, y'all know.
Yeah.
There's things that talk in that house that shouldn't be talking.
Yeah.
That house is alive. If they say the walls could talk, guess what? They talk.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I feel like the house has gotten comfortable with me. And same with a lot of the spirits, the ones that really don't trust a lot of men, such as like the children spirits and some of the women. So I feel like I guess I don't know. I guess I'm just a spark plug, as Sonny puts it.
Hell yeah. And people might be like, oh, he's talking about kids. He's talking about characters. Like, what do you tell people about like? Because I know the history. The owners, Sonny and Kathy, don't want us like divulging like the full history, right? But like, what do you tell people like when they show up? Like, if you were to tell people right now a little bit about the house, like, and what happened there, what would you say?
Um, Basically, uh, the main stories that's out there. That's public knowledge. That everything the stories about Joshua to Elizabeth to the bathroom incident to the doctor to it being a brothel and then bootlegging. Basically, everything that you can search is what I mainly tell, and like in a nutshell. And then sometimes I'll be like, okay, so a little bit more on that. This is kind of what goes along with it. So I don't go on and give the full history. I
Yeah.
just give the main details of what happens on events, like all upstairs. Here's the rooms. This is what happened in each room.
Yeah, and for people that are watching, like, oh well, that's not very informative. Yes, we know it's not very informative because we're purposely withholding some of the history of the house because it is of the wish of the owners of Hill House that we do not divulge the deep
Exactly.
history.
If you want the full history, you have to rent the house and do the tour.
Yeah, so that's what So you can look up a bunch of stuff online. But speaking of, right? So house, what happens inside the house? So like people, I'm sure, are wondering like, what kind of activity does Hill House produce? Like, what would you say to that?
I would say a lot of physical stuff, and by physical, I mean like the bangs, right? The loud bangs, the knockings, footsteps running at you, people being scratched, people being bit, people being burned, to the possessions, to items being moved, doors opening, doors closing, intelligent responses. I don't really think there's many residuals in that house because like I mean, a residual would be something that basically happens like often, right, on replay,
Yeah, yeah,
right? I don't really think there's too many residuals in that house. I think it's more intelligent. It doesn't seem like every day at 2 o'clock the door opens and the piano plays. That doesn't happen.
yeah.
Considering how many times I've been there, I haven't seen the same thing happen over and over and over again. It's always something new.
I want to pause there. I mean, you said you've experienced possessions there. What
Yeah, I
is
was
what
gonna
is your
say
story? Because that's something I haven't seen there, and I don't think I want to. But
Well, the first time I seen when it was
the first time,
the first time.
that was like the only one I've really seen. I've heard the other stories, but it was New Year's of 2020 turning 2021,
Oh, this is a
and
wild
it had
one. I've heard
snowed
this story.
that night, and we had a big thing there. There was a group there of people that was doing filming, doing some documentary or something they were going to do. And that, sorry, Oreo, but Oreo. But that night, at one point, Oreo, one of the guys went out front to go smoke, and he comes inside and he's freaking out. He's like, "Hey, there's there's hoof prints in the snow." Oreo. Sorry,
No, you're good. We can we
but
can we can pause if you
I'm
want
like,
to.
what do you mean hoof prints? So we go inside, and sure enough, there's bipedal hoof prints about that in diameter, and in between, and then there was like these little like hooves. And it was weird because it started in freshly fallen snow, no disturbances around it. Starting in front of the carousel room, I have chills thinking about it. It went step with at least maybe like a 3 foot stride in between, 2 to 3 foot stride in between, maybe give or take. Maybe not even that. It was like a good stride. But 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, turns up the steps and disappears because there's no snow on the deck.
Could it have
And we were
been a
like,
deer?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what would you say to people who said, "Oh, it's a deer, bro"? What do you know?
deers aren't bipedal.
This is true. They're not bipedal. They have 4 legs. You're right.
And there was no other disturbances around it. There was no other tracks, no other marks. It's freshly fall. It's snowing.
You took a picture, right?
Do what?
There was a picture that was taken of those hoof prints,
Yes,
right?
there was a picture. I think Martha Decker has it,
Do you think
and
you
there
could?
was some other person that was there that had it. Now the other person I know that had it was one of the persons that was affected the following morning, which we're coming up to. So now, probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, everyone starts kind of winding down. About 8:30, 9 o'clock, I wake up, and everyone's like freaking out about this one girl that's not acting herself. Normally, she was kind of talkative and bubbly, whatever. This time, she's sitting out. She wakes up, goes inside, doesn't say anything. She's in her shorts and a halter top on the front porch, in the rocking chair, in the snow. She's doing this, not talking to anyone, not there. The producer looks at me, he's like, "We need to get her out of the house now." I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Something's wrong with her. We need to get her out now."
Like off the property, yeah.
And yeah, and that one, I'm not going to say her name, but the lady, you know who I'm talking about.
Miss Johnson, yes.
Yes. So she was there that night. And so we get her outside, we get her to the back porch, like right outside the back door. And everyone starts praying over her and all this and like trying to like, calm her down. And as I'm looking at her, I can see her eyes kind of change. Like it looked like her eyes was just becoming empty. And it was funny because at that point, Kathy and Cindy come out. They're like, "It's gonna be a good year. Nothing's gonna go bad." They walk out to this chick coming under possession, and we're all outside praying over this girl. Kathy comes up, and as soon as Kathy put her hands on her and went to pray on her, her voice changed. "Fuck you, bitch!"
Yo,
And
what?
we were like, "We need to get her off the property." Me, Sonny, who's a bigger guy, this other big dude, big old Samoan dude, and one other bigger guy. It took 4 of us to get her off the property, to walk her down the driveway, to across the street to the funeral home.
And just
And her boyfriend was starting to act weird too.
Mm.
So Sonny's praying over him and has the cross that went through him in his wreck, and he had the kid holding it. And when the guy finally let go, the inside of his hands was burnt from where he was holding it, from where he was holding this like metal cross. And he snapped out of it pretty quickly and goes back inside. It took her about an hour and a half out there in the snow and the cold, while Miss Johnson and myself are sitting there trying to talk to her. And out of nowhere, she kind of starts laughing. She snaps out of it, starts laughing, and she's like, "Why are we outside? It's cold." I'm like, what do you mean?" And she's like, "How long have we been out here?" I'm like, "What do you last remember?" And she's like, "Going to bed." I was like, "Well, what time was that?" She's like, "About 2:30, 3 o'clock." "What time's it now?" I'm like, "It's like 11 o'clock in the morning." So she has this gap of time she has no recollection of.
That's
And
crazy.
that was the first time I had seen anything like that. When I'm
Yeah.
telling you, dude, the look in her eyes, there was nothing there. It was just empty. Like there was nothing there. And I'm like close to her, and there was nothing there. It was crazy.
Well, I
That was the
guess
first time I seen anything like that.
on that aspect,
And then
right?
after
So
that, we blessed them and sent them on their way back to Brownsville.
we're talking about possession, right? Like, what kind of spirits are we thinking are in the house? Like, are they demonic? What do people?
Yeah, it had to have been. I think it might have been Toby. I'm not positive, but I could see him kind of taking advantage of someone that's, I guess, vulnerable and weak. So that's what started that morning off, right? So now is day 2 of them filming.
Yeah.
They leave. Now there was a it was I think it started off as 8. So now we're down to 6 people, right? Night goes on. We're filming. Guy goes into the portal closet to ask questions, and they had 2 cameras, one in front, one in back, but they didn't have the audio hooked up.
Explain the portal closet real quick for people because it is an interesting place. Just real quick, touch on the portal closet.
Okay, so the portal closet is this little closet under the stairs, right? And there's a mirror. We have mirrors on both sides, so you can sit there and take pictures and see if you can catch anything in the mirrors. But behind you is like a little opening gap, and it's always like a 50-50. You're either going to have something happen or nothing's going to happen. I've sat in there for an hour and a half once, had a few things happen, but nothing really bad. There's been times I've walked in there, been in there for 15 seconds, and had something happen, and I come out about to take the door off. So the portal closet is a hit and miss.
Yeah. So he's sitting in there.
They send this guy in there, and it made me mad too because I asked him, I'm like, "Do you have audio hooked up to it?" No, we won't have it. We're filming the door. We'll be able to hear them. I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, he asked like 3 questions, something like, "Is there anyone in here? Does anyone want to talk? Hello?" And then it sounded like a banshee scream echoed
Hmm.
throughout the house. Ooh! Something like that. And next thing you know, boom, this dude comes out of the closet backwards and he scuttles back. His eyes are like this big. He's ghost. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, bro, you got to go back in there. That's some shit. So he's freaked out. Now, keep in mind, I said we have 6. He goes
Yeah.
outside with 2 other people. They're outside. They're freaked out. We're leaving. So they leave. Now we're down to 3, plus myself, so 4 total. Miss Johnson, the director, and his wife. They
Yep.
went to bed in Jacob's room. I don't think anything happened to them. Just sitting there in the kitchen, it felt weird. Anytime I'd walk out of the kitchen and just kind of stand there and look up the stairs, it just wasn't a good feeling. Where I was like, I really don't want to walk around and do anything in the house right now. I feel like this. Uh-uh.
The Hill House
So that
sussery.
was New Year's Day. So that was New Year's Day. And New Year's, I don't know what it is about that house, but New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, it pops off there. Something always happens. So that's that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a little bit of a segue into talking about crazy experiences. I do want to touch on, though, before, real quick, the notable spirits in the house, so people have like an understanding of like who is causing some of this stuff, at least in your opinion. Because I have my opinions, Brian has his opinions. What's your opinion on like these spirits? Who's causing what?
Uh, I think Toby causes a lot of it, but I feel like he's not always there, but he has things watch for him and I guess do his bidding when he's not there, you know?
What do you mean by that?
So like there's something in the house, like I guess like the watcher or the crawler, whatever this is. I feel like it's Toby is his boss. So when Toby's gone, he leaves whatever that thing is in charge, and that thing does the some. I think sometimes it'll scratch people, and that thing sometimes is the thing doing the talking. At the same time, I don't know. I've heard him say there's the ancient one in the house. There's an SW in the house. I've heard him say it on EVPs. I've heard it come through the spirit box. I've seen it on Spirit Talker, the Necrophon, and all those apps, like the Flesh Pedestrians.
He means skinwalkers for everybody.
Yes.
That word's forbidden.
Forbidden word.
Yeah.
So besides that, plus okay, was considering how many items are in the house that have
So many,
like
yeah. Oh my
bad,
god.
bad things attached to them, it's hard. It's really hard to tell because we can't see them. So I can't. It's. I have my guesses. I want to say it's mainly Toby. Sometimes I think it could be Willie or whoever this Russell character is. I personally think Russell was an old school biker that died of an overdose and is stuck there. That's what I think about him. And I think he would kind of like have like I don't know. I feel like he would wear like a duster type jacket. So I
Didn't you have a dream about a guy like that? And first,
Yeah.
before Brian goes down that rabbit hole, if we
Oh
want
God.
to,
Yeah.
Hill House is like, if you've ever seen Always Sunny in Philadelphia, that meme where he's standing in front of the board with all the red strings and he's like all coked out. That's like trying to explain Hill House because there's like so much stuff going on. There's so many spirits. So like we just got to pick a point and then we got to just like follow it because it's like it can get out of control fast.
Yeah, because there's at least 9 resident spirits there. Now, considering with all the items that have been brought in, and if that portal is open and it's a good night and like a stormy night, full moon, something like that, you can have I don't know, you can have a lot of spirits in there. I've heard them say there's 40 of us into the house tonight. I'm like,
Wow. It's a party.
fuck. And I'm like, by myself, and there's 40 of you. Someone come talk, sit down.
There's like a line out the door. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
And it's funny, I've met some mediums that they'll walk in the room and they're like, I feel like they're just lining up to
Yeah.
talk. Like they
We've
all
had
want to say something.
That's what Mallory said.
yeah. Yeah, we had a psychic
And
say
I've
that
heard a
exact thing.
couple, and besides her, I've had a few others say that. I feel like Maria said that before. She's like, I just have to shut them off because they all just want to talk. Like, hey, hi, 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 I'm here, I'm high.
It's like
So
the going through the red door in Insidious, and there's just a bunch of people standing there. You know what I mean? If that's a creepy
yeah.
enough analogy for you.
See, and I often wonder how they see the house. Do they see the house for what it is now, or do they see it when it was still their time there, alive in the
Well,
house?
and that's interesting too, because even the time that I've been, I feel like things have changed. Like the dynamics have changed, and there's like
Mhm.
there's things there that like we're not even sure now. Like the whistling thing
Yeah.
Oh, the Whistler.
and this robotic like
See,
voice.
and like, yeah, it's like okay, now there's that doll in the passage room, Greta, that moves and whistles.
Right.
A thinks she might whistle, but it's a light whistle. Now, whatever's doing those loud whistles,
Up,
I don't think it's that
it's
doll.
upstairs.
I think it's one of those. I think it's either a skinwalker that got in the house from the hill, or it's got to be because that they whistle. Yeah, 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 exactly. And they're loud,
Yeah,
and
so
they're like
loud, dude. Like,
and and, like with all these audibles, like it's one thing to hear like an audible and a knock on the camera from the blinks. It doesn't do it justice.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Do y'all remember? I think you were with us, Ryan. Remember that one time we heard a little kid, and
oh,
then
banging outside the
there was
window.
like literally like knuckle on the glass, like,
Yeah,
and we were like,
It scared me. I was like, yo.
yeah. What is like, dude? Like that. There's been times I've walked in the house by like to go do something. Like I walk in the house, as soon as I get into the kitchen from upstairs, sounds like a bookcase falls. Boom! Rocking horse girl goes off, and I'm like, "Well, good morning to you too. It's 8:30 in the morning."
And like the whistle, like I invite you all to, if you're listening, to go and watch our most recent Hill House video. We captured the whistle in it, as well as this weird like cat thing, but also Twin Paranormals video. I think the second time they were there, they have very good documentation of the whistle and Toby.
They caught a good AVP. They didn't realize what it said. So when I watched the episode and I heard it, I went back and rewound it and turned it up. Clear as day, you hear when it's when Wyatt's in the room by himself and the boys are in the kitchen. Clear as day, you hear that audible say, "Michael, the shipment's here," and I'm like, "That's a bootlegger." And I sent it to I showed Sonny, and he's like, "Oh shit!" So
Yeah,
now I'm trying to figure out who Michael is.
dude, it's so like you could. I mean, we remember from back in like 2018, like just how different, like Brian was saying, like how different the house was. Like there's spirits that I've never even heard from. Like Priscilla, I have not heard from Priscilla Blair. I used to hear from her. We used to hear from her,
Yeah,
and now she's gone. You know what I mean? The
yeah. I
spirit
think
of
Maria says she's lost.
yeah, and it's just an example of just like, who's this Michael character? Like, is this like some sort of
Yeah,
Ripple
exactly.
replay? Is this an actual intelligent spirit? Like, dude, who knows? Shadow Man comes and goes. Toby comes and goes. It's like it's
Mhm. And now there's new ones, think people and spirits in the house. But like I said, okay, so like when it comes to a lot of the female names, I'll hear certain names I've noticed for like a couple months, and then I don't hear from them. And then months later, they pop back up, and I'm like, well, the place used to be a brothel. And with the train tracks down the road, like every few months, they would rotate the girls.
interesting.
So like keep a fresh batch in. So I feel like sometimes they'd leave, come back.
Or they go to different like towns down the line, down the rail, or whatever. Because I would assume that the mistress that these ladies worked for probably rotated them through to different spots.
Because
Because they probably had different
then
places.
I know there's another house here in town over off 281 south, like you're heading towards 20. There's an old house on the off on the left there that used to be a brothel.
There you go. So
Hmm.
that's probably where they went. Honestly, I mean, if it was a brothel, I mean, that's the
Probably.
time. Brian, you were going to say something.
Well, I mean, it's only maybe 10 miles or so. So
Well,
I mean,
like Mineral Wells itself, right? It used to be this like vacation spot where people would go there and kind of have a little vacay and then they'd, bugger off, go back to their normal life. But it was like back then it was like a destination. Like people were getting all these, you know,
because
stories
they
of,
wanted that healing wall.
yeah, the water could heal you. And it can heal you. I mean, what's in the water anyway? You can buy it. It's called crazy water.
My place is a lithium.
Yeah, so it's got traces of lithium in it, but it's like small amounts. So this is public knowledge. You can read about this. There was individuals. It was the Renfro girl. No, she was.
Never
Yeah, Deborah. She was a little off her rocker, and lithium is
ever crazy.
it's an antipsychotic. So she came and she drank the water, and it cured her whatever mental ailment that she had, or at least stabilized it. And then that's how, just like places like Eureka Springs or all these other places that have these healing properties, boom, Boomtown was born.
Yeah.
And then now it's just it has lithium in it, but also has like a lot of good silicates and trace minerals in it. So now they bottle it. And there's arguments about where the original well is. We're not going to get into that because that's all politics and mineral wells. But there's a bathhouse, there's a bottling station. You can buy the water at Sprouts, HEB.
Wow.
And they have like the different levels, level 1, 2, 3, and 4.
You remember it used to be a part of our ritual that we would tune into the house. Remember when Kathy and Sonny, they used to have the jugs of the crazy water?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we would always take shots of the
I need
water.
to go buy a new jug, and I need to bring that back.
Yeah, you should.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like that used to like help things.
It did, dude. And the house is wild in its own right still to this day. But I think some of our core memories like come from some years ago. And I kind of want to talk about that. Like, so we already talked about the possession piece, and we could both, all three of us honestly, could write books individually about our experiences at Hill House, right? But like, what do you think would be if you had to pull out of your pocket and you had to pull out of your pocket and open up your hand and have a stranger take a story. Which one would it be to entertain them the most? Core memory, crazy experiences.
I wouldn't even know what to say. Well,
I
actually,
think my main one was the face I saw upstairs.
That's a great story. Go ahead.
Yeah, like so I was when I first started going to the house. It was like that October
Mhm.
when I met you,
Yep.
and had me go upstairs to Emily's room with the Ralphie demon mask, and the eyes would light up and glow red.
Ralphie is Toby's cousin, by the way.
Yeah, Toby's cousin Ralphie. So I'm sitting there, and it took my eyes a second to adjust past the redness. And at one point I looked over, and there was this white floating face. And Sonny I have a picture of that. Someone caught the face in Emily's room at the same spot I seen it, and it was like a floating fucking head. I could make out the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and I pulled that mask off, and it disappeared. I took off out the damn room. I got to the end. I have never seen anything like that. That freaked me out. That bothered me for days.
your wife
And then
seen the
later
same
that night,
thing.
investigating, who was that? Who did I see? Toby. Was that you? Yes.
You heard that audibly or on camera?
I think we heard it audibly.
Yeah. Alice, my wife, saw the same thing upstairs. You remember? We told you about that?
Yeah.
She saw that little face peek up. But you forgot to keep a key piece of that story that you don't want people to know, but I'm gonna air your dirty laundry. He was wearing a screen gown, and I have the video. I'm gonna put the video on screen right now. He jumps up out of the chair and he hikes his skirt up like he's like, because he doesn't want to trip over it. So he hikes his skirt up and he's like running. He's like running through the stairs. And I remember he looks back and his eyes are.
There's no shame in running away in that house.
I have it. Kathy sent it to me.
I think that was my first. That's like my favorite one. Besides that, when we were there with the two twins, the two sisters, and she got yanked down in Jacob's room.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead into that
That's
one. That's a
massive.
good one. That's a good
That
one.
one's huge.
So these two sisters, and they had came with their husband and I guess fiance. I think it was the fiance. He was the skeptic. Anytime
The biker
we'd
guy,
be
right?
having activity, yeah, and he'd come in, and all the activity would stop.
He's a neutralizer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big time.
Big time.
You know. So then at one point, where the four of us, Dylan and I, and the two sisters are in Jacob's room. One's laying on the bed where the woman got yanked off the bed, and her husband was sitting on the couch. And you know how we do it. All the lights are off, no lights, doors open. He says, "Hey, I just seen something black come crawling past me on the floor heading to you." About the time he said that, I remember feeling something brush against the back of my pants, and I was like, "Something just brushed past me." The next thing you know, boom! Like something grabbed her legs, and just yanked them out from under her, and she was a bigger sized girl,
She was,
and
yes.
she shook the damn room, shook the damn room, like. And I'm not trying to be rude or
No,
nasty about it,
I know.
but the way she hit,
She
boom,
slammed,
and she
yeah.
jumped up and goes, "April," and we all took off out the room.
Dude, weird.
I went back in there and come on, come get me, come get me. Nothing.
Well, you know what?
But what's weird about it,
Good.
do you remember her ankle?
Yeah, it was like not blistered, but it was marked, yeah. I think I have that picture too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right on her ankle. So we put holy oil on it or holy water on it. And then all of a sudden, like, it went away, but where the burn was, the skin started to peel like a sunburn.
Yes, it did. I do. Yeah, that is true. That is real. Somebody's probably like, no way that happened. It did. I'm looking right at you. It did. It happened.
And yeah, like
I seen it.
if you go back far enough, on their page, years back, there's that interview, and you can see the mark on her leg and the skin being peeled.
In that room too.
I think that'll be my second, and then
Oh yeah, finish the third. Yeah.
I think my third main one. Fuck it! It's got to be like not this New Year's, but last New Year's, when the night like Maria went over the stairs,
Oh God, yeah.
and then so Sonny my brother, our friend Adam that comes, Tuck, and myself are outside. But we're sitting outside, we're talking, and we're by the back door, sitting there talking and smoking. And then all of a sudden, on the roof, we hear, boom, 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 boom.
Whoa.
Like Santa Claus just went parkour across the damn roof. And Sonny's like, that wasn't me. We're like, what the hell was it? It was like it ran from the front of the house to the back of the house, got to like Priscilla's room, saw us, and took off the other way. And we're like, what the fuck just happened?
Also,
What was
too,
that?
yeah, and the roof at Hill House is not easy to be on. It is like
No,
very
it's
steep.
steep. It's the pitches. There
It's a
is no,
sign
you
of
could not pay me enough to
for
get on
whatever
that damn
reason,
roof.
like entities on the roof. That's a sign of like really like intense activity, because that happened on that house call that we did. I heard you were dead asleep, but yeah, I heard somebody like run across the roof, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, that wasn't an animal,
And
dude.
that's a common thing that happens there is
Yeah,
footsteps in the rooms above you, but there's no room above you.
yeah.
And there's been people that have seen things walking, running across the roof. So anyway, we go inside. We walk in the kitchen and everyone's freaked out. Maria just got pushed over the stairs.
Hmm.
What? Maria just got pushed over the stairs. We're watching the video. She comes across around the corner, and her feet in the video it looks like her feet got sped up, and you see her. It looked like she went limp, like a doll got thrown over the rail and slid down. And she hit and broke the bottom of the banister. Luckily, all she suffered was like a boxer's fracture, right, or
I
I
something
mean,
remember
like that.
still,
that
yeah.
video is out there. She had some
But
velocity.
there is no way we heard her fall outside of the back of the house. There is no there's no way we could have heard her fall down the stairs,
Nah, yeah. No.
because at the moment she went down the stairs was the exact time we heard the running on the roof. And then when you went back and watched the video, you see her come down the stairs and this black shadow pops off the wall and then goes back. And I think whatever did it pushed her and then out the top of the roof and ran across and saw us and dipped.
Hmm.
As crazy as it sounds,
No, I
like
mean,
there
Nothing's
was
crazy to me in that
there,
house, then.
there was me, Sonny, Tuck, Chris, Adam. There's 5 of us that all witnessed that the running, and then we go inside and Maria went over the stairs.
And that's the thing about Hill House that's so impressive is that it's not, there are anecdotal experiences, but they're group anecdotal experiences
Oh,
where
yeah.
everybody experiences the
Oh, yeah.
same thing at the same time without any sort of like hive mind, like interference with each other. It happens all the time on the regular.
It was like, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that. What was it? I don't know. Where did that come from? It sounded like it came from over there. No, that came from behind me. No, that was over here. You can't, it's hard to pinpoint where a lot of these sounds come from. Do you remember the event we did when we did the house spying session at midnight?
I do. I recall. Yes.
So we were sitting in the portal closet, looking at one mirror, looking in the other. We had 2 people in the suicide bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
2 people, 2 or 3 people in Jacob's room,
Yep.
and then 3 people in the living room. 2 looking in the big mirror, 1 looking at the mirror on the armoire for the TV. Then out of nowhere we hear Toby, get out. Everyone's like, what the hell is that? Everyone freaks out, comes running out of the rooms at the same time. The people in the middle of the room were like, what's going on? Everyone's like, did you not hear that? Like, hear what? It was like he put like a bubble over of them, and everyone on the outside heard them, but not them in the middle.
And it wasn't even just get out either, dude. It was like
Yeah,
it was like long, like multiple syllables, and this is audible. Like,
yeah, something like that. And everyone was like freaking out about it, but but the people in the living room were like, knock that off, drop that. Chew on the cap, I don't care. But I think that Toby can throw his voice. I feel like whatever's in that house that's not human can throw his voice and sometimes talk to you in here, where you think you hear it, but it's in here because no one else hears it
what? Yeah,
unless it's just meant.
yeah. There's definitely something in there that can do like talk to you in only your head, and like take over your mind, because there's a story that I'm not going to go into, but it was a very dark moment for me in that house, to where
Remember,
I was not myself.
you had,
What'd you say?
you had to leave the property for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to like step out of the house. Like I literally felt like mentally violated. Like it's a bit of a personal story, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But yeah, it can do that. Yeah, I don't know if it is Toby. That there's something in there that can do that.
There's something. But I think, like, now, given the fact that they always say they talk about like Legion,
Mm.
and there's like 7 entities or whatever. So it's just not Toby. And, if Toby's supposed to be like Osmodeus, whatever, he has 3 heads. So one of my other theories on him is we know what he sounds like. He has that kind of that guttural kind of sound, right? This
Yeah.
other thing is tinny, mechanical sounding.
Yep.
What if it's not a skinwalker? What if it's Toby's other head? He has 3 heads.
Like his
He
own.
had 4. One got ripped off by, I think, Raphael,
Yeah.
if I believe.
Hmm.
So what if the main head we hear talk all the time is Toby's first one, and this other one that's talking is maybe the second one.
We might want to unfold a little bit because you're going heavily into demonology at this point, Ryan.
Yeah.
Do you want to, for people who don't know Hill House and they don't know Toby and they don't know some theories about him, do you mind just elaborating on that? Because we all know the theory, right? But like people who are talking about Hill House, they're probably like, "What the heck is going on
Yeah,
here?"
like 3 heads. What is this? What? Huh? They're like going goetic here.
So he's going heavily into, for people listening, he's going heavily into demonology.
I guess the main demon that's there, what calls himself Toby, was supposed to be another demon, a prince of lust, whatever, Osmodeus. And in his depiction, images of him, it shows him with like 3 heads.
A bull, a man, and a ram.
So yeah. So what if what's talking is him, but it's just the other head that's now just learning to talk?
I mean, that's one way to look at it. I
No,
mean,
100%.
yeah, because it is interesting, because it is like, it's like multiple flavors of Toby. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he's got like multiple personalities to him. Because it's interesting, because we've established multiple times that he does have like emotions and feelings. It's so bizarre.
I've had to apologize to him.
What do you mean?
I hurt his feelings at one point, and Kathy made me apologize to him. I was laughing at his picture.
How did you hurt a demon's feelings, Ryan?
That's a good question. Well, they got an EVP of someone saying, "I like Ryan. He's nice to me." And then you heard Toby, "I don't." And he's on the floor laughing at me. I was upstairs one night with a group, and I'm laying on the floor, and I was looking at his picture, and I'm laughing at him, like, "Look at your white pearly teeth, using like white strips and everything, just talking shit." Apparently, it hurt his feelings, and Kathy's like, "You have to apologize to him." I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing to hurt a demon's feelings. Well, bucket list check.
He definitely gets. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, because he definitely gets mad, and me and Brian know very well about that.
He has a personality. I've heard, I've heard him laugh, like, and I'm like, that's disturbing.
It is very
So,
disturbing.
like, he has a personality. I mean, like, if he likes you, he doesn't really do anything. But if he doesn't like you, he's gonna scratch the shit out of you, as you know. Or maybe that's just him being friendly and being like, "Hey, hi, I'm here."
Probably not. People are like, "Oh, they're energetic beings," and that's just they're interacting with
the energy transfer on your skin.
Yeah, no.
Okay, but it hurts.
Heard other people say they feel like he's just misunderstood.
Nah.
And I'm like, no, he's not just misunderstood. He's it's a non-human thing, and I don't know.
It's because people haven't interacted with them. Because
Well, that kind of goes into like the way the 3 of us investigate is like, if you're not being nice to me, I'm gonna match your energy, dude. Like I'm not gonna be nice too.
yeah, that's true.
That's just the way I approach. Like you need to respect all of them. I'm like, well, I'm pretty neutral in the beginning, but you matched me with like threats or violence. No, we're not cool.
Yeah,
We're not cool.
Said I'm gonna match your energy. You want to
You
come
kind of have
sideways at
to.
me?
You kind of
Is that
have
you?
to.
Yeah, like the time, and we posted a video, one of our earlier videos that is pretty kick ass. It was the part 1 and 2 that we had to call you for. We deeply aggravated Tobias upstairs, and it was not good. I invite you to watch that.
We've tried to recreate that experiment too, and it hasn't produced.
Has not produced. Yeah, we've done sigils, Solomonic sigils. We've read Goetic passages. We've done all sorts of like crazy things to try to like enter. Like people are like, "Oh my god, you guys are maniacs." Yes, we are. But like we were trying to like recreate like what happened, and we just
Yeah.
hasn't been recreated.
And sometimes it's like that one time thing. But sometimes you might get lucky and he might do it again. But if you really irritate him,
It,
so uh, I find that weird.
it is, and it's just like you never know what you're gonna get when you go into that house, which I think is
Yeah, I haven't since that time. When was the last time I even heard from Toby? It's been the last 3 times I've gone. I haven't seen him.
yeah. And that's the funny thing too, because Alice.
I really wanted to see him.
Yeah, because me and my wife went back recently for a Christmas get together, and we were upstairs, and he was talking, and Alice was like, "Oh my god, this is," because she's heard like him like bits and pieces of him, but she's never heard like him actually talk, and he was actually talking, and it was loud enough to where people were downstairs having full blown conversations, and there was very obviously and very clearly another voice coming from his room down the hall talking back to us. And my wife, if you've ever seen any of her videos, and I know you don't know her personally, we do. She's a very logical, down to earth, like she's left brained. What was this? Let's think about this. And she's like, no, that is entirely a being talking to us. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he is, but I hear him and he's talking right now.
Yeah. But it's weird. Sometimes I feel like it's just not doesn't quite come from his room. Sometimes I feel like it comes more down the hall towards bootleg.
Yeah, like his little hidey hole down there.
Yeah. Like I feel like it's around that corner.
You're right. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I don't know.
And it's just like,
And then I feel like he'll pace back and forth, and sometimes he'll he'll creep up to the like if you're like in Emily's room, he'll creep up to the door
I
and
wanted
talk.
this thought just popped up back up into my head because we were talking about Toby, but you were talking about Jacob's room, and I remember that. Do you remember that experience that we had in Jacob's room where we were laying on the bed? Right. So for y'all who are listening, right, paint this picture in your head. Ryan and I are laying on a bed, and we're looking out across the room. And as we're looking out across the room, we have two little IR lights because we're running a camera, and so when we ran the cameras, we're trying to see if we can catch anything. We're asking questions, and all of a sudden, Ryan goes, "Didn't those lights have 4 red squares? Remember, because they were gridded?" I was like, "Yeah," and there was like this little blob blocking it. And the next thing you know, Ryan
Yeah.
flicks his lighter, and he goes, "What was that?" I was like, "What, bro?" He goes, "Something was just fucking standing right next to me." And it was like something out of a horror movie, dude. He was flicking his lighter, and then all of it, I'm getting chills just thinking about it, dude. And then next thing you
Yeah.
know, I turn and I look, and there's like a blob like standing at the foot of the bed, and it was
The
like
blob.
it was blocking out like the red IR lights, and I was like, it was like right in front of us. And then I got my leg grabbed. You remember? A whole
Yep.
a whole hand grabbed me on the leg, and I jumped out of that bed, and Ryan comes flying out of there, dude. But here was the scary part. You remember some like energy like went through your heart.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. As I'm walking out, like when
Mm-mm.
he jumped and like grabbed me, like it scared the shit out of me. As soon as we walked out of the room, I felt like a walk through something, and like it grabbed like it grabbed my chest, like and like I just felt like my chest go, ugh. And I was like, oh, like I couldn't breathe for a second.
I thought I was gonna have to call an ambulance. I was like, "Bro, are you okay?" He literally made a
Well,
noise. He was like,
That's the only time I've experienced anything like that in the house. That was the only time I've experienced anything physical, like true physical like that, where I was like, what the yeah.
for viewers that are watching who've never been there, they have to understand too that like, yeah, people feel pain. The first time I visited the house, I got like a kidney stab on my left kidney, and
upstairs, right?
yeah, and it
Yeah.
was like the whole ground underneath me like pulled me down. It was like a gravity well, and I like as that happened, I was like moving back, and I was like, ow, 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 and like literally, like I know we have the footage somewhere. I was on a ring cam. I was like, something's like, and then I had like a little welt on my back, and then it went away.
Yeah.
But yeah, people can get hurt.
Oh yeah,
Oh
dude. I
yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
my lone wolf. Remember, I have the pictures on my Instagram. I'll post it here
Yeah.
on screen. Giant claw marks down my back.
Yeah. Right before too, like we were upstairs, Dylan, Sonny, and I were sitting there talking, and then we're like right next to each other. And I was sitting here just like, ow. What? Ow, my back. Big old 3 marks. And that was a good. Dylan, for those that want to know who the king of the scratches are, Dylan,
Me, brother.
I have never met anyone that has been scratched as many times as this man. You are the king of the scratches.
But you know what's really
I
interesting?
don't know if this is something to be proud of, but
Yeah,
I mean,
we
I'd walk
we
that
did some
honor and be like,
energy
hey, man.
work with a certain somebody, and he hasn't been suffering from scratches anymore. Interestingly enough.
That and you remember when my house was, so this is a completely, we could have a whole podcast on this.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
You have to go outside, knock it off.
dog
No,
owners.
give me 1 second. I got to put her out real fast.
oh yeah, we can pause. You're good.
Yeah, but you were talking. So Dylan, you were talking about your house being haunted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that an extension of Hill House? You think?
Oh, it was entirely an extension of Hill House. I brought things back. Like I'll dig it out. Let's see if I can maybe I can add it in here or whatever. But there's definitely audio recordings on my Blink cameras of voices going,
Oh yeah,
let's go back," and then you hear another one go,
it's funny
"All
because
right."
you showed me that, and I had just first met you, and I was like, this dude is so full of shit, like unbelievable. When I first met you, dude, when I first met Dylan Ryan, I did not like him actually. Well, we were cool, and then we went to Hill House, and then I'm like, I don't know about this guy. This guy's kind of because yeah, I was so energetically zapped, and like it was a lot, dude. But it was more the house as opposed to him, you know.
Yeah, I'm an alright guy. It wasn't me.
No, no, we're
The house will affect people in different ways.
yeah.
You know, some people have walked on the property and just gotten sick from being on the property and have to leave.
Do you remember little Reed, little skinny little Reed? So there was and Ryan was attest to this. This was a crazy story because this is the point of this episode is just to tell crazy Hill House stories. So we had a challenge called the Trial of the Wolf, and we haven't done it with anybody for a long time, right? But this was a thing we used to do a couple of years ago called the Trial of the Wolf. So you had to lay inside of the Priscilla Blair suicide bathtub for 15 minutes by yourself in the dark. And then you had to go into the portal closet with a couple of haunted objects from inside of the house, and you had to sit in there for 15 minutes. And then you had to go upstairs into Toby's room by yourself for 15 minutes. It was called Trial of the Wolf. It was like an entry level thing for people in the house to like do something fun and like maybe get an experience. Anyways, so we put Matthew Reed, and I remember he was a dude in the Air Force with me. And anyways, I drop him off in the bathtub, right? And I said, "Good luck, buddy," and I closed the door. And I walk out, and nothing was strange. I come back, I sit down in the kitchen right next to Ryan, and maybe, I don't know, what it was, about 2 minutes later, homie comes literally like clamoring out of the tub. Like we hear it through the wall. Dun, 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 dun. And you hear him run and open the door, and he comes in, and his eyes are like the size of like large olives, dude. And he's like pale as a ghost. And he did the same thing as the dude that came out of the closet. I had to grab him and shake him. I said, "Reed, what just happened?" He looks at me dead in my face, and he goes, "Somebody walked up to the," here, let me do the camera because it's more dramatic. He goes, "Someone walked up, jiggled the doorknob, opened it, and said, 'I'm gonna fucking kill you. Get out.'" That's what he heard audibly, and the kid was not right ever since, dude. He was literally like, I thought he was gonna throw up.
He was hell, and yeah, dude, he didn't look like he was in good shape. He was.
Well, I mean, he probably literally saw that. So, I mean, that changes you if you haven't experienced like anything paranormal, and that's like one of your first like introductions into it. It can
I
mess
had
with
a
your head.
And then
oh yeah.
I think one of the other moments that stood out to me was the numbers on the guy's
Oh
cheek.
my god, dude! Should I tell that? I should tell that story, shouldn't I?
Yes,
Okay.
that's one of the other ones. I talked about that one on Paranormal Files. That one, I've never seen anything like that, dude. Just go for it.
Yeah. Okay. This is I guess this is a famous story now because it's in a Paranormal Files video. Yes, we were there. Which I think is mighty cool that we have these stories that we can tell people, by the way. Anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll do the condensed version because it is a very long story. So just get this. So basically, there's a dude. His name is we'll just call him James. James had been wanting to come to the Haunted Hill House for many years. He would always ask his wife, but his wife just wasn't into it. She didn't want him to come, so on and so forth. So that whole thing, right? We finally get him to come. He shows up to the house, and it's a typical Hill House. He's going around. He's trying to things that are happening, and he can't get anything to happen. He goes, "Man, dude, I came all the way to freaking Mineral Wells with you guys and nothing's happening and da 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 da. This place. I was like, you better watch your mouth, buddy. I said, don't. I told him that. I said, dude, you need to freaking be careful. I said, don't run your mouth at Hill House because you're about to get clapped. He's like, whatever. So he goes into the portal closet and he does the like this like incantation of scrying basically. We wrote it down for him and he said, mirror, mirror, dark as night, give me the gift of unseen sight. We've said that before. And he said the first thing that happened to him is that he turned into a woman in the mirror of the portal closet with long black hair, and she was wearing a black lace thing. And he blinked, and she was gone. So that was interesting to him. I said, just go explore by yourself. Go out in the house and just experience it for yourself. So he goes, okay. Me, Ryan, a couple other friends, Pedro and Eric and Callista, we're sitting in the kitchen, and he comes through into the kitchen, and he's as pale as a ghost. And he goes, he can't even talk really. He's like, oh, you remember? He's like, he can barely even talk. He goes, dude, you gotta come look at this, Dylan. I swear to God, something just tried to attack me. I was like, what? He goes, dude, I was sitting on the bed in the axe room, and I said, hey, come in here, like, come get me. I want to meet you. And he heard boom, 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 and claws underneath the bed. Now, I'm like, okay, that's pretty crazy. So I look underneath the bed. There are literally finger marks in 2 inches of dust underneath the bed in the axe room, right? I'm like, whoa. Literally, like where someone dragged it. I'll see if I can find the picture and put it up. Hopefully I still have it. So if I do
It's
have
on
it,
the
it's on
Instagram.
yeah.
Check it out on the Instagram.
Oh, it is. That's right. Yeah, it's on screen now. And so anyway, so we're starting. I was like, calm down. So let's sit down. We're sitting on the Chase Lounge, and I remember I said, just turn off the lights and relax. Dude, we're gonna figure out what's going on. And he goes, okay. So the door to the Shadow Man's room or the axe room is like just a little bit open, and I hear a creaking noise. I'm like, yo, what? And I don't know how to explain it because y'all were still sitting in the kitchen just watching us on the cameras. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to explain it, but it was like this very large black mass that was, I call it contrastual darkness, to where like it's blacker than the actual darkness of the room, and you can see that. And anyways, it comes into the room and our heads immediately go down. Literally, just immediately get forced to the ground. And I was like, James, I don't know what that thing is, but don't look at it. And you could feel it moving through the room. And it was creeping from the door, and it moved across the room to the other bathroom over there.
It's like your sleep paralysis demon, and you don't want to. If you look it in the eyes, you'll get frozen.
100%, dude. I said, James, don't look at it. And what does James do? James, on the camera, you see him played back. He's tilting his head up, but it's like he's like being forced back. I don't know. It's like he's having trouble, and he's like lifting his head up. And the next thing you know, his glasses fly off of his face, and he grabs his cheek and he yelps and he runs out of the room. So I follow him. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Right. So I follow him. We're in the kitchen. And we're like, dude, what's going on? Right. All this calamity's happening. And Ryan's like, yo, shut up. We're like, he goes, dude, your face. And I was like, what? And he has these numbers. I have the picture. It's on screen now. He has these numbers on his face. And we came to the conclusion, to save some breath here, we came to the conclusion that his face was branded by something. And why we think that is because when we got back to Oklahoma City, his wife had told him that she was thinking about leaving him. And she wrote in her prayer journal at like 11:58 p.m. or something like that to, I love my husband, God, please send somebody to save him. And anyways, like literally just a couple minutes later on the timestamp of that photo was a couple minutes later from that prayer that she wrote in her journal. And then he gets branded. And I'm like, dude, why would something do that? And anyways, we look up these numbers at 2179 or two. It's on there. I'll know. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but basically, Callista pulls it up on angelnumbers.com, and she starts reading it, and he literally starts crying in the middle of the kitchen. It described his current life situation to a T, and he's like, "Good."
Everybody in the house, first time meeting these people, everybody in the house was just like,
dude, it was insane.
Wow. It was like almost like a divine intervention in a way.
Well, you remember we had the REM pod on the stairs, and it was Pedro first. Pedro goes, dude, that was a fucking angel. And the REM pod starts going off on the stairs, going crazy. Mm-hmm. And then it stops.
Then the energy in the house felt light. The energy felt really light in the house, I remember after that.
Yep. And
it didn't feel negative or heavy. It just
We can safely say that Hill House saved a marriage through angelic intervention. Can we
No,
say
yeah,
that?
and that's the interesting thing is like that's not, we could, like I said, we could tell stories forever. Like Alice and I had a very similar story about a spirit box session with an angelic intervention as well. That's a long story. But yeah, so like and so we're trying to the funny thing was, right, and we're trying to put holy oil and nothing. It's not going away, dude. It's just staying red
So
and
there's
raised. And we're like, bro, you got branded on your face so we could all see that and you could not deny that. And the fucking REM
Yeah.
pod goes off. Oh
And you
man.
said you wanted something to happen to you.
Ooh.
You said you wanted something to happen, and look, you
Yeah.
got what you wished
So can
for.
we say that there's angels in Hill House too?
I think the
I
veil's
don't
just
know.
very thin, you know?
Okay, yeah. So, do you think they can travel through portals?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're the highest level of order of entity in our realms.
So, what if like that like we've said, like you said before, and like what if like Hill House has become like a dumping ground for like demons or something? Like another theory. Well,
Like
what if
Michael's just
sometimes
throwing him down, like, get out of here and go to Hill House. You know?
yeah, like they're like, oh, there's plenty over here, and they just come here, and then at times like an angel or something positive will show up, and everything just gets like all the negative stuff just dips. Because there's been times I've been there late, like within the past few months with people, and the house just feels calm, and all the kids and all the women spirits are coming out and talking and having good activity, and everyone's happy. And everyone's like, well, we want to hear Toby. I'm like, I don't think he's here because I don't feel that energy. It feels very light. And then I'm like, we'll ask, is Toby here? Toby's gone. Toby's not here. So where does he go?
Back to hell.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I would think, right?
Yeah, and that really. So there's not just there's the whole gambit at Hill House, right? Like anything, it's almost like anything's possible there. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. So there was one night. It was me, Martha Decker, Tuck, Lone Wolf number 3, and another woman that was there with us when we were investigating the house. And it was probably like 5 o'clock in the morning, and we were all getting ready to go to bed. So we walk into the scratcher room, and we have that EMF, the trip wire, the trip light, and Tuck had put it in the fireplace down to the well and had it coming out and latched up, hanging over like a little nail. And we're sitting there at one point, and then all of a sudden, from inside the well comes the light going up the EMF and out. And we're like, what just came out of the well? And on through the spirit box, it says, I'm not pleasant.
Hmm.
And we're like, well, what the hell just came out of the well? Like, that's creepy. Like, I don't know. It was weird. But right before that happened, Tuck, Martha, and I were sitting there. We're in the scratch room and we're talking, and all of a sudden, it sounded like 3 trumpets
Hmm.
just echoed throughout the room. Just "Brrr, brrr, brrr." And we all looked at each other like, "What the hell was that?" And it sounded like it was above us. It didn't sound like it was coming from outside the house or anywhere else in the house. It sounded like it was in the room above us, just "Brrr, brrr, brrr." And we're like,
Trumpets?
this sounded like trumpets,
Hmm.
which was really weird. And then we had that thing come out of the well on the EMF light and said it wasn't pleasant. So
What is
I
your
don't
theory? What
know.
that noise was? Do you think it could have been a truck passing by, or what?
I don't know, man. And you've met Martha. Martha Decker is pretty, like, she tries to, like, hey, it's trying to debunk. And she's like, I don't know what the hell that was. She's like, that sounded like it was in the room, like it came from above us, like it was
Yeah,
like on the ceiling. Sounded like 3 trumpets. Just brr, brr, brr,
it's like
like five
biblical,
o'clock in the
dude.
morning, and we were I was like, I don't know. I still to say I still don't know what that was because I haven't heard it since.
What other entities? What is this? Have you guys figured out what this new like robotic voice is yet?
Yeah, I don't know, but me and Tuck heard it real loud. Remember, dude, I was like, do you speak English? And it goes,
Mhm.
yes, Yes.
Like I said, I think that could either be another entity, something from the hill, or Toby's other head.
Hmm.
But what's weird is, so a couple weeks, about a month ago, I was there with Sonny and Kathy's daughter and some of her friends, right? And Brittany got it on video. We were up in Joshua's room. I'm sitting there reading them uh, Green Eggs and Ham. And now, when Joshua, we put that new door in, so you can just walk into the back of the attic, into the back of Joshua's room.
Yeah.
And ever since we put that door in, it seems like we pissed something off, and it's been more negative and more aggressive. But we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, like on the spirit talker, it says like, "I will make a sound. I will use my voice," or something like that. I'm like, "Well, do it." Seconds later, you hear from the inside of Joshua's room, and we're like, "What the hell was that?" Going back and listening to it, you hear something say, "Answer Ryan."
Oh yeah. That's the one that I was like, dude, it said answer
Yeah.
Ryan.
And dude, I'm like, "What the hell was talking to what?" Like, why would it say answer Ryan? Like, is it telling something to answer me?
I mean, uh, it seems as such. Like, I mean, why? I mean, got to take that one at face value, eh?
But another weird thing was, this wasn't Hill House, but it was not too long ago. Me and my guitar player, we went out to Goatman's Bridge, right? And we're standing on the
Yeah.
bridge, and we had Spirit Talker on, airplane mode. And it comes up and says, Ryan. Ryan. Ryan was invoked. The hell does that mean?
Ryan
Was
was
invoked.
invoked.
Was invoked. That's what I'm like. My name doesn't bother me. Saying I invoked doesn't bother me. It was the was.
Are you a demon, bro? You
Like,
need to tell us something.
I'm like, were something out? Were they talking about me and I happened to show up? They're like, oh, look, it worked. We were talking about this guy and here he is.
I mean, I think all those locations have these like astral tethers, like these doors connected to each other. You know what I mean? I mean, who knows? I mean, God knows
I guess
why.
on that topic, it's like it's almost like Hill House can become addicting in that aspect.
Oh, Hill House can definitely become addicting, dude.
Oh,
You got to
yeah.
be careful going to Hill House too much.
Yeah.
I have it tattooed on me.
Do you really?
I mean, yeah, I have like my whole like. So okay, I have Toby's face and I have the house, the whole front of the house,
Yeah.
with a
Dang.
pinup girl over there, right, and trees in the background. Yeah, it just somehow it all fell together.
That's sick.
But after I
Man.
did the lone wolf, I was like, I'm getting a tattoo of the house and the face I saw. So I got Toby and the house on me.
Now you just need to get scratched so you can get that tattooed on you. Ryan has never been scratched, ladies and gentlemen. Not once.
I have given up on that dream. I've given up. It's never gonna happen.
That's it.
Now I
That's what
just
he
get to
just
live
tells himself, so it
vicariously
does
for him.
happen, so he can still be excited.
But yeah, but like we've had EVPs of them on Blink saying we're not gonna scratch him. We won't bite him. We don't want to do anything to him because he wants it.
Like they don't want to give you the satisfaction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're gonna give you
they'll
what you don't
deprive
want.
themselves. But I just want to know what it feels like. That's what I want to know. I just want to know what it feels like. Does it feel like a tattoo kind of burn? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, kind of
Doesn't
like
feel good.
yeah, it doesn't feel great. I'll tell you that. Some of them hurt
I
really.
was gonna say you're the king of scratches. I mean, so how's it feel?
The one on my back that I got was not pleasant. That one was not okay. That one burned. It's like a burn. Have you ever been scratched by an animal before? Dog, cat.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
fairly similar to that.
Stinging, burning.
Yeah, stinging
Oh, so
sensation.
that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not awesome.
Okay, well that makes sense. I mean, it's weird because I felt before, like on my arms, like in dark spots where I have ink. I felt like little burns, but I don't see anything because there's ink. It's black ink. So I don't know if they've like kind of like done something like maybe I don't know, but I've never had actual like scratches.
I mean, there's definitely times where like you can have sensations happening inside of that house, and then you're not like marked. It's just like weird things that you're not is not familiar to the sensation of your like the homeostasis of your body. You're like that doesn't feel right. Like what is that?
Then like anytime I shave my head, I always feel something like
Oh, the tickler.
yeah, like something just always just like I can feel it, and I'm like, that's just not like that can't be just like my head acting weird. Like I'm feeling my hair grow.
There's
You
so
know,
many
it feels
people.
like something just in just rubbing my head, and it's odd. I'm like, I don't. It doesn't bother me. I don't like hate it.
Bald men beware. Ryan is not the only one that has reported the tickler in the Hill House. Many people have reported their head being tickled. There is a serial head
Mhm.
tickler on the loose at Hill House.
Beware.
Women with long hair have had their hair played with.
Now that one would make
Seen the hair
sense.
being lifted up.
Think about like a working girl from like the late 1800s, early 1900s. Like that would probably be something just normally nice, just being nice. You know what I mean? Like, oh, your hair's so pretty
Yeah,
or
men
whatever. You
just
know what I
start
mean?
rubbing your head.
Men too. Oh, yeah, dude. That's like it's like a thing like a woman she'd like play with your hair. You know what I mean? Like just very like
Yeah,
lightly caress your head.
like
Might be
it
onto something,
doesn't
buddy.
feel it doesn't it's almost it feels almost soothing, kind of welcoming, I guess. Like, I don't mind that. It's not bad.
Like the touch of a woman.
There was one time I swear I felt like I got a lap dance
No.
just sitting there.
Are we gonna tell that story from Priscilla's room?
We were in Priscilla's room, and I remember sitting there
Proceeds to
one
tell
point, and all of
story.
a sudden, like, I felt like someone had kind of came up and like sat on me, like sat on my lap. But what's weird was I could feel like the inside of my bones and my legs vibrate.
Yeah, Alice, if you're listening to this, this was before we were married. No, I'm just kidding. We've been together a long time, but
It
yeah,
was
we
it was the oddest. It was the oddest sensation because I'm like I could feel the inside of my legs, like it felt like my bones was like were vibrating,
yeah, it was not a
and it
not
felt
pleasant sensation. It
it
was.
was so fine.
It was
It was.
weird.
I'm like, Dylan, this is what I'm feeling right now. He's like, I feel something similar to that too. I'm like, that's weird, but it was. It didn't. It didn't feel. It was fine, but I thought that was strange. I've never felt that since, but just I've never had that sensation in my legs. Like I could feel like them vibrate. It was weird.
It was definitely very strange.
Is it cheating though if they're dead?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I've met people who've said that they've had sexual relationships with spirits before. So you know.
Oh, okay.
But
Wouldn't
then
recommend it.
sometimes they can be like aggressive to men like Melik
Oh yeah,
and
oh man, my buddy. I have I have a video on our Instagram of him standing in the Shadow Man's door, and his testicles get crushed.
What?
Yeah, no, literally, like he literally grabs his johns and falls, like he hunches over and he like limps to the door, and he's like in excruciating pain, and he like falls down on the floor, and he's like, dude, something just crushed my balls. True story.
I was I was
Be
sitting in the
warned.
I was sitting in the
That's the
suicide
intro to the
bathtub,
video right there.
and,
The hook.
Dylan was sitting there on the in the room in the bathroom with me. Then all of a sudden we just hear oh oh. I'm like, what happened? He's like, something hit me in the balls. I'm like, you hit yourself in the balls? Like, no, something just hit me in the balls. We went back and watched the video, and he just standing there looking around, and all of a sudden he just doubles over, and just the look on his face was
And
priceless.
that's the funny part though, is like the reaction was it was so natural. Like if you were to get hit in your boys,
Yeah.
dude, it just exactly like that. Your
It
body would
ruins
just
you.
it would just automatically just like whoosh, you know.
So do you need to wear a cup at Hill House? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe that's but that's the only time I've heard that happen. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, I've never
So
seen
who did
anybody
that
else
to him?
get their gonads
I don't know
crushed
who did
by.
that to him, but he. I don't know.
Priscilla, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe. If not her, one of the 20 that go to the house, I guess. But yeah, he doubled over. I mean, that room gets some weird activity. The shadow we saw in front of the bed.
Yeah, and that's a interesting one. Um, so there's a character in Hill House. His name is the Shadow Man, and we don't talk about him much inside of the house because he's a very potent presence, and he kind of kills activity when he's around. He's a very strong presence. However, there's been a couple of times that he's shown up, and I think I've seen him only the one time. And Ryan, I don't know how many times you've seen him. Brian, I don't think you've ever seen his actual shadow form, right?
No.
He's like this 7.5 foot tall shadow figure. There's a whole backstory about him and his ritualism, Native American ritualism, and stuff like that. But really, what you need to know is that he's very large, and he appears very large.
Yeah.
And me, my friend Dakota Walter, and Ryan were at the house, and we were building a how would you say, a haunted maze, a little attraction for Halloween on the lot next door. And we're investigating that night. And we told Dakota, we said, hey, bro, go stand in Shadow Man's closet. He hates when you do that. And he goes, okay. So he goes in the closet, he opens the door, and we're not kidding you when we say it looked like somebody turned a flashlight on in the house. Bam! Bright white light flash, pop. And we're like, what the And then Walter's like, yeah, what was that? And I go, I don't know, but stay there. And boom, it happens again. And he comes, he goes, move over, just because me and Ryan are laying on the bed, this like little like queen size mattress, and I'm 6'5". Ryan's a
I'm
big
short.
dude. He's short, but he's a big guy. And then Dakota was a big boy too, right? So you have three
Yeah.
grown ass men on this small bed, and we're like laying there, like, and we all become frozen, and we see
And
that.
it's pitch black.
Yeah. We see this black undulating something come like moving into the room, and it's like undulating, and then it stops at the foot of the bed. And then I very vividly, and I know he does too, we watch it stand up. It grows from
It
like,
was right as the bed.
and it grew to the top of the freaking crown molding in the Shadow Man room, and we're looking at it. And then Ryan, you can tell you're part of it, which is trippy as hell.
I am thrilled we were thinking about it. And but like there was laying there, and then all of a sudden they just saw these like little black blobs. I felt like I was hallucinating. These little black like blobs, just kind of swarming. I'm like, anyone else seeing this? Yeah, it looks like something's like they're little black bubbles, like orbs or something. I don't even know how long we were in there.
I blacked out, dude. Like literally, we were
We
just frozen.
were in there for maybe a half hour, maybe an hour, give or take.
And they're
And we had
sober,
no
by the way.
equipment with us. We had,
Sober,
and what time was it? What time was it? Do you remember?
yeah. Before midnight, probably.
I thought it was after midnight. I thought it was like towards the end of the night.
Maybe it was. It was so long ago. I vividly remember the experience, not so much the time.
Yeah.
But
But I remember when we went back and we watched the cameras, you could just see it was like orbs just swarming and just pelting us in the room.
you know what's bizarre too is that I vividly remember, because the Shadow Man's camera, if you can imagine, the bed is sitting next to the window, and there's a camera that sits right above the bottom of the window frame, and it looks across the room. And it's about, if you're thinking about the back corner of the room, it's probably like 3.5 feet off that corner, right? And at first, I could see the little red bulbs of the IR, because it's a red light, and then they were gone. I couldn't see him anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when these like black swirling orbs and shit were like flying around us. And like Brian said, you may not have heard him. Yes, we were all sober. All three of us were sober.
You're not doing shrooms or nothing, right?
No, we're not doing. We were all sober. We were all, and all these
I would do
experiences.
that in the house. I think I would try that once in the house. I want to see the cast. I want to see. I want to look over and be like, "Oh shit, there's Joshua. Oh shit, there's Toby. Oh shit, who is that? Is that Willie? I would like to see the cast."
You
And I've
can.
only seen really two. I've seen that one event we had there when it stormed, and we were upstairs in Emily's room, and the lady caught that figure on thermal, that big old tall shadow
Oh yeah.
outside of Emily's room.
Yep.
It was at least 6.5, 7 foot
It was
tall,
very tall. Yes.
and you could make out like I watched the legs grow as the lightning hitting outside, come through the window, will light up the inside of the upstairs, and I could see these black legs standing next to the banister start to form and come up and come up and come up to make the arms, shadow, and a head. And the woman next to me, she's like, "I have it on thermal," and you can see like the outline of the shoulders of the head. And it was blue.
And the funny thing is that that was the same night that I saw that, like, it was my first actual apparition that I've ever seen. It went up the stairs. I remember. I vividly remember. I was sitting on the couch in Emily's room, and I was looking out through the doorway, and there's the upstairs. It goes up, right, and through the railing, I see this like gray and bluish like mass, and it goes straight up the stairs into Toby's room. I watched it. I mean, you imagine you're looking into the blackness of the upstairs, and you see slightly glowing gray, silverish, and blue like thing, like just whoosh, move up the stairs. I saw it. Yeah.
It sounds extraterrestrial sometimes, man.
It does sound extra.
It sounds like fucking
I've heard
aliens.
them talk about aliens too. I've heard them talk about the Greys, so I don't know, man. I don't. That place, it boggles the mind.
It
But
does.
nothing really surprises me anymore about the place. I'm like, well, I'm not surprised it's Hill House. I'm fucking weird shit happens there all the time.
I'm glad you said that because I just looked down at the pod track and we're at an hour and 20 minutes. So holy crap. So let's go ahead and reel this in. Dude, I would love to, I'd love to. I want to thank you for coming to talk to us and sharing your stories. If y'all enjoyed,
Oh, man, thanks for having me.
if y'all enjoyed this, drop a like, drop a sub, and we'll continue to do this. We have plans to do more of these episodes in the future. Ryan, go ahead and plug whatever you want to plug to everybody.
Haunted Hill House, obviously, and check out my band. I hate IH8.
Where can they
We're
find
on
you?
Spotify, YouTube. We're on all platforms. Whatever you stream on, listen to music on, we're there. YouTube. Besides that, Hill House and yeah, and of course MP Paranormal, and you know, definitely check out the YouTube page. Jack, we need to pump them numbers up, people. 6,000 is not enough. We need to get them up to 10.
That's right. 10,000 by the end of the year is the goal. So, all right, buddy. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming to talk with us. It was a good time. It's always a good time. And we'll catch you later. All right.
Good to see you, Ron.
All right, sounds good.
All right, buddy. Later.